Same to you, yeah.
What's that? Right?
Right.
Everyone.
The dog went out. Our dog Annie went out and bought us a box of chocolates and a card.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now wait a minute. Let's clarify that. Your dog went out and bought you a box of chocolates and a card?
Well, the card says to Mommy and Poppy love Annie. So Annie's the dog.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that the dog didn't eat the chocolates before, at least sampled them before giving them to you.
They're sealed.
Oh, okay.
They're sealed in a box. And she even picked out the dark, which is what we really like. So she went to a lot of trouble.
You have a very thoughtful dog.
Yes, we do.
Hi, Doreen. Hi, Pam.
Hi.
And there's Ellie. Well,
hi, Dad. Good to see you.
Okay. I think overall said, I even see my dog down there. How about that? Hi, Pam.
Yeah.
okay, if you would.
You remembered.
We light this candle in recognition of and appreciation for the Christ light within each of us and the presence of the divine in our gathering.
Thank you. Well, everyone doing well today?
Yep.
Good morning, Joe. Hi, Leslie.
Hi.
Well, let's start with a couple of announcements, if I might. All right. Language of Love, February 14. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. As normal, we have our Monday, Wednesday, Friday events of 7 o'clock, Mondays with Ted. As usual, we had a great TED discussion this last week, so we'll watch a TED Talk. By the way, you can submit suggestions for a TED Talk to review and discuss. We have the Mastermind Prayer Circle on Wednesdays, followed by a meditation, and then we have TGIF on Friday. Monthly financial reports. If you get the newsletter, you can click on the link there in the newsletter to get you to the financial reports. They are online now and readily available. If you are not getting the newsletter, go to our website, livingwaterunity.org, and click on the envelope icon in the upper right, and that will that information that you put in will get you signed up for the newsletter. And we have a team of Zoom greeters. We would love to have more people on that team, so you can email either me or Pam or Carol, and we'd be happy to explain what that is all about. Also, we have a ministerial search team. We need your help there, so please let us know if you are interested in participating in that. And of course, check the chat box. If you see an icon come up with a number 1 pointing to chat, that means that you have a message. You can go to the chat box and check that. But for sure, go to the chat box and check the messages before you leave the session. All right. So with that, Doug, if you would please. And together, our affirmation of Living Water Unity. Living Water Unity is a thriving spiritual community inspired to embrace and share our abundant good now. I am empowered for joyful living by expressing God in each moment. And who would like to share the daily word with us this morning?
That.
I know you can do it. I know you're an English speaker.
I can do it, David. I haven't done it in a really long time.
Okay, have at her.
Okay, this is Pam. Our daily word for today is heart expression. You are dear to me. I hold you in my heart. Sharing love is a wonderful way of discovering and responding to the divinity alive in every heart, binding us as a human family. My loving nature helps me see the best in every person whose life touches mine. Today I remember one of the legends of St. Valentine, in which he fashioned pieces of parchment into hearts, which he gave to others as tokens of his compassion and God's love. Today, the tradition continues when I say, you are dear to me. I hold you in my heart, with a card, gift, call, or a simple act of kindness. I share love with no expectation of reciprocation, and my heart welcomes every expression of love from others. Love's energy grows through both giving and receiving. Our scripture for today is from John chapter 13, verse 34. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You also should love one another.
Thank you, Pam. And our affirming prayer. As we offer this affirming prayer, we'll hold this affirming prayer in our hearts for 10 to 12 seconds, and then I will conclude that time with, and so it is. But at that point, I invite you to offer your prayers, and we will hold each of your prayers in that crucible of unconditional love. So if you would like also prayer support, you can either email us, you can go to our livingwaterunity.org/prayer page, or you could phone or email Silent Unity. So, as we acknowledge that this space that we are occupying, this time that in which we are residing right now, is this holy time in which we can commune with God. It is only this time that we can commune with God in this present moment, wherever you are, whenever you are, in the present moment. And so, in that awareness, we know that God is a love that has no end and a power that knows no bounds. God's healing power of divine life is restoring, healing, and revitalizing our world in this very moment. We let go of any fears or anxieties, and we affirm that all are safe, healthy, and protected. And we bless all those who support us in maintaining vibrant, radiant health. We express divine life in all we think, say, and do, and we bless our global family with radiant health, peace of mind, and abundant love. And so it is. And I invite you to offer your prayers, one at a time, if you have several, that we may hold your prayers in this vessel of unconditional love.
I'd like to go ahead.
Thanks, Pam. I'd like to offer a prayer for a long time friend of mine, many decades of ours, who we just found out this week was diagnosed with bladder cancer. Our prayer is that he receive proper treatment as soon as possible, and that he be returned to full health as soon as he can.
And so it is.
I'd like to offer prayers for our friend Emmy Soul, whose dog is going through some health issues. So Emmy Soul for comfort, health, and divine guidance.
And so it is.
I would like to offer a prayer for my sister Dee, who fell and fractured her spine.
And so it is.
I would like to also offer a prayer for Betty, who had a stroke and has a lump on her lung and is refusing chemo for healing.
And so it is.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask for prayers for healing and divine right guidance for Coletta Herrick and her younger brother, Mike Herrick, who's in the ICU at St. Anthony's in Lakewood and has just been diagnosed with leukemia and is telling his sister Coletta that he's not going home and what would she like that is his. And they're both having a hard time dealing with this. Coletta and Mike.
And so it is.
I'd like to offer a prayer of thanksgiving. Our daughter's husband, Matt, who's from England, finally got his green card. He's been waiting for a year to have the interview, and it happened Tuesday, and he will get his green card in the mail this Tuesday. So that's a huge relief. So for Matt.
And so it is. Are there any other prayer requests?
I have another one.
Sorry.
What? Go ahead.
Well, my friends Sarah and Anna said that they noticed that the line coming into their house was frozen. And so, long story short, their pipes are frozen. So that gives you a heck of a lot of problems. So I would like a speedy and a healing of their pipes and their water system, however that would work. So thank you.
And so it is.
I would like to offer a prayer of gratitude to the state of Colorado for working together to get our COVID infection rate down below 4%, which is helping to free many of us from part of the restrictions we're going through. So a prayer of gratitude for all of us who are working so hard here in Colorado to stay healthy and help our neighbors stay healthy.
And so it is.
I'd like to ask for a prayer for comfort and healing for our son Carl. He survived COVID just fine, but the aftermath is fatigue, continuous fatigue, and deep depression. And so he's dealing with that, but it's difficult. So some healing and comfort for him. Carl, thanks.
And so it is.
I'd like to ask for another prayer. My neighbor, M.A., I took her to her COVID vaccination the other day because she's unable to drive because she has a bleed in one of her eyes associated with macular degeneration. So her equilibrium is off. So her independence is being taken away now because she can't see well enough. And I'm happy to say the COVID vaccination, that went fine. But I'd like a speedy and perfect healing in her eye so that she's able to see well and get her equilibrium back. Oh, and her name is M.A. That's her nickname.
And so it is. Are there any other prayer requests? For all of those prayers unsaid, for all of those who are needing prayer, perhaps not aware, we hold them in the light. We see the embrace of God's unconditional love, lifting them, transforming them, guiding them. And for this, we give thanks. And so it is that together we say, Amen.
Amen.
Oh, so we have this celebration today, this thing called Valentine's Day, and I understand that Doug has appropriate music for us. Is that true, Doug, or am I not aware?
Well, I'm guessing that most people could probably guess the tune that I'm obliged to play today, but it's a gorgeous tune by Richard Rodgers and Lorenz Hart from the 1937 show Babes in Arms, entitled My Funny Valentine. Which, what else, right?
And I remind you to go to Speaker View and see Doug in all his glory. Thank you, Doug.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Well, yeah, the language of love. I mean, we have millions of words, perhaps billions of words that have been written about love. Love makes the world go round, right? We have this thing that goes on in our consciousness that attracts us. We think about love. We think about the words that are written. I mean, if we didn't have love, what would poets do? I mean, there must be 50% of the poetry out there that, in one way or another, talks about love. But at the same time, here in the U.S., we have 1 million women or so that are harassed by rejected suitors. There's 2 million women that are abused by husbands or significant others each year. Turns out that almost 400,000 men are stalked by past lovers. And depression is often the result, and like the Shakespearean plot, a significant percentage of suicides are the result of or arise because of spurned love. And legislating against love is probably not the answer. Maybe we have to look and heal this aberrant behavior in some other way. But I'd like to ask you all, first of all, how would you define love? I mean, we all say that that we know love. Maybe we don't say that we know love. Maybe there's still a question in your mind. But I'd like to hear from you as to how you think about love, how you define love, how you relate to love. Jump in there, anyone.
I've sorted through many definitions. I may get back to you later.
I was going to say that possibly it is not a positive definition, but a negative definition. I feel a hole in my heart if I don't have love around me, an emptiness, vacancy.
Well, that's an interesting perspective, and definitions can sometimes be in the negative. Who else? Oh, come on. You're not going to be penalized for a philosophically incorrect answer.
Well, something I think just as simple as again, as Kay said, there's so many definitions and so many ways of describing it, but I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is when I'm feeling love, I have a feeling of true, palpable warmth, and it's, I have a sense of warmth that I can actually feel the warmth, in the heart chakra area, but also right where your ticker is. There's that warmth, and then the warmth spreads throughout your whole being, and whatever caused that warmth, whether you were doing something nice for someone, they were doing something nice for you, maybe it's associated with one of those many other kinds of love, but that feeling, that warmth, boy, that always seems to go with love in whatever expression. And that's just about the best feeling there is.
Is that a feeling of connectedness? Is that a feeling of attachment that you're describing?
I think it can be, because it's not just, okay, I'm sitting here and my chest is hot. I see what you're saying, David. It's it would have to be the connection, which then is causing this feeling of warmth. So you're right. Not just, I didn't describe that very well, not just the feeling that my chest is warm. It's in my soul, in my gut. So you're right. It would be the connection. You're right.
All right.
Thanks for the clarification.
Well, you didn't have warning to think about this. I didn't send a notice out in the newsletter that we were going to. Who else?
I always consider it a warm glow, and it just radiates out, draws people to you, and there's a happiness that comes with it.
Okay.
So the most wonderful feeling there is.
Okay. Anyone else?
What about can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Well, I put on speakers this morning because I couldn't hear anything. The love for our children. I mean, we've been talking about more romantic, I think, but we don't always feel something. There's a deep love for our children.
Mm-hmm.
Caring about them.
Okay.
Love is the energy that flows through all of us. Sometimes we're aware of it and sometimes we're not. And there's all different kinds of love. And love is friendship, love is adoring of a life partner or a child. But love is always there. It's the spirit that flows between all of us.
Okay. Anyone else?
Oh, one that occurred to me just when something happens, when I feel so much love, and a smile spreads over my whole body when my grandkids are running toward me. What Ellie said about the children. Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know how to describe it, but such happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even when you see somebody is down and out and you care about them and you feel sorry for them, isn't that a kind of love?
Okay. All right. Well, I think that we could probably go the whole period this morning without having me do any work. So I'm going to step back in here and take responsibility. Social scientists have attempted to understand this behavior. In fact, social scientists in general attempt to understand behavior of its various sorts by categorizing it and then looking for cause and effect. And so psychologists have come up with 3 categories of love. The first category is the one that many of you may have experienced in your life, and they call it lust. And that lust is caused by, apparently, according to neuroscientists, that lust is caused by testosterone and estrogen. There's a cause and effect relationship. There's a measurable increase in those hormones during that perceived experience. And then there's the attraction. So there's lust, and then there's attraction. And it turns out that attraction for a friend, attraction for someone who is having difficulty, and you reach out to them to help them. But that attraction is identified as being caused by testosterone and dopamine or dopamine, norepinephrine, and those two hormones are associated with this stated sense of attraction. And then there is the attachment. So lust, attraction, and attachment. And attachment is that kind of feeling that we have with our family members, with our grandkids. Okay, I certainly relate to that, running towards you with a glow on their face. That attachment is caused by oxytocin and by vasopressin. And of course, these are not independent, standalone categories. That there is lust and attraction. There's attraction and attachment. There's attachment in lust. So there is these three general categories, and the associated hormones that relate to those give us a means of discussing love. But these categories seem to ignore the spiritual dimensions of love. And by the spiritual dimensions of love, I mean that love that we feel in the connectedness to the all that is all. Perhaps that's a attachment carried to another power. I'm not sure, but that feeling of connectedness to the all that is all, those peak experiences that we might have from time to time, those experiences where we say, yeah, that's unconditional love. I certainly feel that unconditional love when I relate to those in my family. Those in my family that I still get along with, but those in my family that my wife and my daughter and my grandkids, that spiritual dimension of love, and I'm curious as to why psychologists have not, in general. And I'm sure there are some psychologists out there that have explored this, but frankly, in my research, I did not find any reference in psychological material about that spiritual love. And so the question that I have that might be useful for some exploration here is, when Jesus spoke of love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself, what hormone is associated with that? Is that oxytocin and vasopressin? Is that something beyond the biological? Certainly, when we talk about experience, when we talk about consciousness, and the definition of consciousness always includes the element of experience. And our experience with love in these three categories, or if you will, the four categories, this experience of love is something that it's not that we manufacture it, but we can initiate love. And so love doesn't just happen to us, but we can actually be the initiator. We can be the force that reaches out in love. And so, what can we do to initiate that? You've heard me speak of unconditional love in the past. Let me share with you let me come back here. There we go. Let me share with you something that is offered by Rumi. He says, goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes, because for those who love with heart and soul, there is no such thing as separation. I'm seeing this quote, "The goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes." I see the love with the eyes as being, in the psychological parlance, the lust and the attraction. Because those who love with heart and soul, there is no such thing as separation. And that heart and soul love is the attachment love, if we are bound by those three categories. So as we look at this question of our being the captains of our ship, our being the ones who are deliberately exercising this expression of love, it might in fact be helpful, as I have said in the past, it might be helpful for us to use a sense of connectedness, a sense of it might be useful for us to be deliberate in our exploration and expression of love. Our practice, I think it would be fair to say that lust is one of those things that seems to happen to us. Attraction seems to happen to us. But attachment is something more deliberate, I think. And as we explore this concept of unconditional love, I'm going to go with attachment. I'm going to say that attachment is something that, yes, we experience it. It can be an attachment to a child. It can be an attachment to a friend. It can be an attachment to a pet. And you know, the number of dogs that are available in shelters has plummeted in the last year. Why is that? It's because in this period of isolation, people have recognized that attachment is a very important experience for us to have. You want to go out and buy a puppy now, you're going to find yourself dealing with a seller's market, as it were. We ended up paying $700 for a puppy. Now that seemed to me to be outlandish, but on the other hand, it allowed us not to have to worry about gifts for each of the grandkids. So we went ahead and we bought this puppy for $700, and here over the course of the last, I guess it's been about 2 months since we got the puppy for the kids. It has been an investment that has paid back in spades. Seeing how the kids are attached to that puppy is it's quite a sight. And for that matter, the dog was in our presence for a while, and I deliberately stayed back. I deliberately withdrew because I didn't want to have to go through the separation from the dog. I knew that their separation from the grandkids was going to be hard. So I didn't want to have to add to that the separation from the dog. But, oh, man, I'm still, I was thinking this morning, boy, I'd sure like to take a drive and see Gus again. Yeah, the grandkids, too. That'll be it. But anyway, so we have these attachments in our life that feed us, that invigorate us, that vitalize us. And that attachment is something that we can initiate, we can reach out, we can be the initiator of that feeling of love. And if we think about the times that we have been attached to someone, that in my mind is the key. It allows us to call on our oxytocin, feel that connectedness to the all that is all, to feel a part of this web of life, this web of relationships of which we are a part, regardless of whether we're by ourselves or we are in a cave back in the mountains somewhere. The attachments that we feel in our own experience is vital for us. It's nourishing for us. It gives us that sense of belonging. And so let's celebrate. Let's celebrate that feeling of connection. Let's initiate that feeling of connection. Let's not let a day go by without falling in love, without falling into excuse me, without falling into that awareness of that connectedness that we have. One of the pieces of advice that I offer to couples that are considering being married, getting married, one of the pieces of advice that I say is, don't let the sun set on anger. Reimagine, reconnect with that sense of connectedness. Reconnect with that attachment that we feel for each other. And I think in general that's a good plan for all of us, is to at least once a day, if not all day, but at least once a day, revitalize ourselves with that sense of attachment to a pet, to a friend, to a spouse, to a child. Feel that energy of love. In fact, the loving kindness meditation is an excellent one for that. But this is a voluntary thing. This is something that we can be deliberate about. This is something that we can initiate. And when we choose to do that, we are excuse me, we are revitalizing ourselves. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Let me share with you a sense, or it's a music that is offered by, where is that screen? I know it's here. There it is. Sue Riley. I made room for grace.
Used to think I had to have my own way, could do everything on my own, living my life like a one-woman play, feeling confused and alone. Still I held on tight to the life that I knew, till it wasn't the life I remembered. Finally admitting I hadn't a clue, I opened my arms and surrendered, and I made room for grace. I just stepped aside, opened up a space, watch the blessings arrive every day, since I made room for grace. I want to live without making demands, asking for help when I need it, being happy, just doing the best that I can. When I stumble, I won't be defeated. since I made room for grace. I just stepped aside, opened up a space. Now the blessings arrive every day, since I made room for grace. If I had insisted on all that I wanted, I see I'd have sold myself short. But when I stopped resisting, I got what I needed, so much more. Since I made room for grace, I just stepped aside, opened up a space, watch the blessings arrive. I made room for grace. I just stepped aside, opened up a space. Now the blessings arrive every day, since I made room for grace. Since I made room for grace.
David, you're muted.
Everything in life is a negotiation. When you cross the street is a negotiation. Getting your coffee at Starbucks is a negotiation. You probably
David, you're muted.
Yes, I'm struggling here. I'm struggling. So, I made room for grace. I'd like to carry that idea into our meditation. And in my mind, grace is an opening to that connectedness, that awareness of our part in this allness of creation. And there's a meditation that Thich Nhat Hanh made famous called the loving kindness meditation, in which his guidance was to lead us into this awareness of this connectedness through love, making room for grace. And so I'd like to invite you into this sacred space of this present moment. And breathing into this awareness that this moment, right here, right now, is the only real time there is. This is the only real experience that we can have. That in this moment, we can open ourselves to grace. In this moment, we can open ourselves to unconditional love. And we can do that through the recollection of that feeling of attachment that we have to someone important in our lives. And this someone could be a pet. This someone could be an experience that we had of connectedness a person would not have to even be involved, but that feeling of connectedness is what we're after here. So allowing yourself to reconnect with that sense. Feel how that feels. Feel that expansive experience. Perhaps feel that smile, that glow on the face of this person to whom you're attached. And settle into that experience, settle into that feeling. Feel how it feels. In the essence of it, the language of love is that feeling sense. It's said that we need to break our hearts repeatedly for us to open up to that sense of love. While that might be someone's experience, I don't think it's necessary. I think we can step into this connectedness. The glow of the other. The sense of connectedness with the pet. The recollection of that peak experience. Let us go there now. Notice where that sense of connection attaches to us. For me, it's in the heart, but your experience may be different. But whatever that place of connectedness is, go there. Rest there. Feel that flow that occurs in that connection. Let the vibration of that flow reveal for you that vital essence of life. At some point in this meditation, this loving kindness meditation, the boundaries of self may disappear. Do not fear that. Let that occur. Feel your being expand into that web of life. That web of consciousness. We are part of God. Experience that. We are the eyes, the ears, the tongue, the legs, the hands of God in this moment. feel that vital role that you play, each of us plays. We are the expression of God here, now. We are that loving expression if we choose to be. Breathe into that. Allow that realization to become manifest in your life. Not just in this moment, but carry it beyond this moment. Carry it into the next moment, and the next moment, and the next moment, and the moment after that. Allow this habit of connectedness to be your experience, ongoing. Feel how that transforms your experience, how that transforms your life. Being that loving expression of God in this moment and every moment. We fulfill our purpose on this planet. And for this realization, we give thanks. And so it is. How are you all doing? I'd like to share with you this offering blessing. As we consider the support of this community and its financial needs, let us also consider that this is not just paying for goods returned, but rather it is an expression of your confidence that this community is a vital part of each of our lives, not only in the present, but in the future as well. And in that awareness, we offer our contributions in support of this community. And holding that contribution in our hearts, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love because I trust in God. Feel that. And so it is. Doug, if you would, let there be peace. And together, please. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God
protects us.
The presence
And
of
the presence
God
of God
watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. And Kay, if you would.
No.
You're muted, Kay.
Up. There we go. As we prepare to release our circle and extinguish this flame, we honor the divine light it represents, and we carry it within us into the world to protect us, to illuminate us, and to guide our actions.
And so it is.